everyone, I am back again with another video. I did a poll on Instagram asking which video you would rather see, a 1 month update from my surgery or a beauty related video, and the surgery update was by far more requested. So here I am. I'm just gonna kind of go through the process and what it's been like for me, as well as where I'm at right now. So August 20th was my surgery date. I got my date about a month and a half to 2 months before that. Has to go through insurance and all that kind of stuff. And if y'all are wondering if insurance covers the surgery, it does not cover the entire surgery. Depending on your insurance, depending on your surgeon, normally it is never fully covered. Now, I don't know for sure. For me, it covered quite a bit, but what the most expensive part was all the appointments leading up. My surgeon required a 6-month pre-op plan, and so I met with a nutritionist once a month for all 6 months. I had to do a psych evaluation. I had like an EKG done. I had my heart monitored. There was a bunch of different things we had to get done. My surgeon did not require any weight loss pre-surgery. So that's something that I was really grateful for, because if you know, I had gone through the process before, and at the time my surgeon required me to lose like 40 pounds pre-surgery. If I couldn't have done it on my own, 40 pounds on my own before, what would have made me be able to lose 40 pounds then? So it was really important for me to find a surgeon that cared more about my mental health and just the journey of what comes after. And I'm so grateful for my surgeon. He was incredible. He was amazing. So surgery day came and I was so excited. I had some nerves leading up, but as far as surgery day, I felt like I could take on the world. I was so excited. I had little jitters, you know, about the little things, like, oh my gosh, how much blood are they gonna take? Or, you know, how long am I gonna have to wait in the waiting room? And all these things that just ran through my head. But ultimately, I was so excited. I just knew that it was finally here. Something I had been praying for so long finally was here, and so I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe that it came so fast. My surgery time was 2 p.m., so I had to be there at 12. I got in, they weighed me before and then got me all ready and set up. My doctors came in, my anesthesiologist, my surgeon, and someone else came in and kind of did the little spiel, and then as soon as they rolled me back, I don't remember what happened after that. The procedure took about 3 hours, and what they performed was called the Duodenal Switch, but they also performed a gallbladder removal and a liver biopsy. Those were the 3 things that I signed off for in my pre-op room. The liver biopsy is mandatory, as well as the gallbladder removal for my surgeon. It is required that he takes that out. I have just heard horror stories about people having to go back in after surgery to get it taken out, and I was not about to do that. That was not something I was interested in. So after that 3 hours, I woke up in the recovery room and was not expecting to feel the way I felt. It was by far the most pain I've ever been in. I felt like I had been hit by a semi-truck. I felt like there was so much pressure. My stomach was just turning and pulsing, and I just honestly was not expecting to feel what I felt. And there's so much anesthesia in me that it's like my mind is working, but my body isn't working, and so I was in shock, honestly. I remember waking up in the recovery room thinking like, Molly, why in the world did you sign up for this? This is the worst decision you've ever made. Why would you sign up to feel this kind of pain? After that, they rolled me to my room, and my parents were in there, and so that was awesome, because from what I remember, was like, felt so much comfort knowing that my parents were there. And I also had a really, really awesome nurse. She is the bariatric coordinator at the hospital that I went to, and she was amazing. She was so comforting as well, and so I was very grateful to have the 3 of them in the room when I was wheeled back. After I was in the room, I just remember feeling so uncomfortable and in so much pain. And I finally said, like, why am I feeling this pain? Where is this pain coming from? Like, aren't I supposed to be on, you know, the good drugs? Or like, you know, this is, I don't understand. Backtrack to pre-op in the room when they were getting me all set up. A nurse came in. She let me know that I will have some gas pain after I come out of recovery. To me, gas pain is just like a tummy ache or like gas or like, you know, when you gotta, I've never felt gas pain that made me want to like punch somebody. It was so painful. So I'm in my recovery room and my parents are there and the nurse is standing there, and I was so frustrated. I just kept moving around. I couldn't get comfortable. It was bad. So they require you to get up every 30 minutes to walk around to not only get the blood flow in your legs to prevent blood clots, but it was to get the gas out of me. The reason why there's gas and why there's air inside of me is because my procedure was performed laparoscopically, which means they go in with 5 or 6, it's like Edward Scissorhands going in, and they go in each hole and they do their job through a tiny little incision. It's about 1 inch wide and like a tiny line across. And what they do is they pump my stomach, they pump my entire abdomen up with air so that they can go in and do their work. Little did I know that when I woke up, that air is still inside me. So I have to get that air out, which brings me to the walking part. So every time I stood up from the bed, I walked, I would burp. So that would get the air out of my abdomen and get it moving, and you know, ultimately I wanted to get all that air out. I found myself feeling the gas pain in my ribs, you know, in my front and my back, up in my shoulders, down in my waist, and it was so painful. I know a lot of people who have had laparoscopic surgeries have felt the gas pain as well. Some get it worse than others, and so everyone is different. So for me, those 3 days in the hospital were just figuring out what to do next, asking a bunch of questions, sleeping a lot. Walking was really helpful. Walking was by far the most pain relieving part. It was hard at first, but I wanted to get up. They required you every hour after that first night. It was about every hour, and I wanted to get up every 15 or 20 minutes and walk. So to me, I felt human when I was walking. When I was laying in bed with those drugs and still having that anesthesia in me, I seriously felt like a zombie, and I don't like the feeling of not being in control. And so walking for me was amazing. It was by far the best feeling the entire time I was at the hospital. So fast forward 3 days after surgery, I finally get to go home. It was about 6 p.m. that evening. The car ride home, a lot of people talk about it being horrible, you know, the bumps and everything. I had a pillow I held on to. It was painful, but it wasn't that bad. Once I got home, I was able to come up the stairs, no problem. Really had no restrictions other than I had to move really slow. Up until now, everything is much slower, just getting back into using my abdomen muscles. It's one thing to, you know, have surgery on your arm or surgery on your leg, but it's another to have surgery in your abdomen area, because that is the central part of your body. That's the first place you squeeze to stand up, or the first place you squeeze when you have to use the restroom or anything like that. That's the first area. So for me, it was just really trying to figure out how to not, you know, use that as much as I normally would, because I needed it to heal and I had bandages and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the diet goes, I had a pre-made diet made by my surgeon. Days 1 through 7 were strictly liquids. So chicken broth, lots of water, you know, protein shakes, Gatorade Zero, any no sugar added liquid, as well as I could have a popsicle. And the popsicles were by far the best part, because it was that cold feeling, and you know, it wasn't super hard on my stomach. My surgeon required 64 ounces of liquid at least a day. With this surgery, you can't chug anything, so it's sips, like baby sips. So they tell you sip every 5 minutes. Well, I couldn't do that. For some reason, I would get so full off the liquid, I would do increments, which worked for me. Before surgery, I was not drinking 64 ounces of liquid a day, and that was my bad, not preparing myself for that. But getting those liquids in was really, really hard for those first 7 days or so. All day, I just thought about, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? What are you drinking? Not only did my surgeon require 64 ounces of liquid, he also requires 100 grams of protein a day. 80 to 100 grams, but shooting for more of 100 grams. For me, getting 100 grams of protein in a day still is almost near impossible for me. Everybody keeps saying, are you doing protein shakes? Are you doing supplements and all that kind of stuff? I'm like, yes, I'm trying so hard. The kicker is, for me, my taste buds have changed so much that everything I'm trying is so sweet. It's just been trial and error trying to find the right protein for me so that I can get that maximum amount in. So day 8 to 28 is introducing back those soft foods. So lots of eggs, lots of avocado, applesauce, yogurt, sugar-free pudding, all those kinds of things. If you can cut it with a plastic fork and it not break, then it was considered a soft food. So lots of eggs, lots of avocado. I introduced a little bit of potato in just to get some get full. But after 2 or 3 bites, I'm still very full. From day 8 to 28 has been fairly simple. It's just been trying to get in my protein and still just lots and lots of water. So day 28 was actually only 2 days ago, but day 28 you can start introducing solid foods. Now, one thing that's super important when you have this surgery is because your stomach is so small, you have to chew pretty much until it's mush, which is really nasty, but so worth it. There was one time that I had a bite of chicken and I didn't chew it all the way, and I could just feel it sitting in my esophagus. Because I was still so swollen from surgery, a lot of things have a hard time getting down into your actual stomach. So again, it's just been trial and error. Chicken now is something that I really like to have. My favorite thing is going through Chick-fil-A and getting the grilled chicken bites. I can have about 4 before I'm really full. Protein bars have become my favorite source of protein. They're soft and they're really flavorful, so it feels like I'm eating a candy bar sometimes, but they tend to be very easy on my stomach. So that's been an awesome way to get that extra protein in when I'm still struggling to get it in my shakes or in my actual food. By far the hardest part of this entire journey has just been getting in that nutrition. I do feel very tired and very weak most days because I'm not getting in all the protein that my body needs. Because my body only absorbs 20% of the protein I intake, that's why I have to have much more than the average human. So it's just been trial and error and trying to figure it out, and my surgeon's so awesome. He says, keep doing what you're doing, it'll get better. I've talked to a lot of people who have had the surgery and asking a lot of questions, as well as, people who had the surgery at the same time as me, just kind of talking back and forth. And everybody's journey looks different. No one is the same, and no one's insides are the same, no one's head is the same. So as far as mentally, some people may be farther along than some people, and physically they may heal faster. But that 2 weeks being home before I had to be back at work, I really felt like God planned that perfectly for me to have that time to really get to know my body, really take time to just relax. I'm not someone who likes to relax and likes to just be at home. I like to go, and I like to fill my schedule with a lot of things, but I think that God really used that time for me to take this very, very seriously. Getting to know my body is something that is also super important to me. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of it and I'm treating it well. So that 2 weeks was awesome for me. I'm so lucky to have the support system that I do. My family, my brothers, everybody's been so awesome, and my friends, my work, my church, and just everybody stepping in saying, hey Molly, how can we help, has been just the biggest blessing in my life. I feel like I could not have done this on my own, as well as knowing that God really planned this out perfectly. Timing, everything has just worked out so well. I'm so grateful. I think ultimately my biggest praise has been the fact that I feel like I'm walking in obedience every day. I truly feel like this surgery was a commitment I made to my body, but ultimately to God, and just how He has used that in conversations, and just taking the time for myself has been such a huge blessing. And so ultimately all I want to do is glorify Him, whether that's through videos, whether that's through conversation, through pictures, whatever it is. All I want to do is point it right back to Him and just give Him the glory for giving me this life. I'm so grateful. I feel like I don't deserve it, but knowing that I have it, I just want to take care of it and I want to nurture it. A lot of people have been asking me if I'm going to announce my starting weight versus how much I've lost now, and I will say that I have lost about 35 pounds in a month. But I'm not comfortable yet sharing my surgery starting weight. It's just something that I've never done in my life, so I just feel like, what's the point? Everybody starts somewhere, and everybody gets to a certain point before they take the step and they say, okay, I'm ready to do this. And so for me, I'm not embarrassed by my weight, and I'm not ashamed by my size, but that number to me is something that has kind of haunted me my whole life. And so I'm just not ready to share it yet, but I think at some point I will, just not yet. I'm so grateful for all of you and for watching and caring, and I was not expecting for y'all to actually want to see a post-op video. So I think I got everything in. If there's something else, I'll leave it in the description bar. Make sure you go down and read, because I'll be adding stuff, probably even along the way, just updates and little things. I might do a 3-month update as well as a 6-month update, because I know there's going to be a lot of changes during that time. So we'll see about that. But as far as my next video, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to, some input. So yeah, let me know what y'all want to see, and I'll see you in the next video.